My name is Rajay Love, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why you should consider a vegetarian diet. You may wonder what vegetarians eat, or why they made their choice, or why on earth anyone would ever want to give up bacon. But I think I may know a few reasons. Everyone agrees that it's morally wrong, but there are a few more reasons they might not think about. The meat industry leaves a huge imprint on the environment, which infects us in the form of pollution and stealing our resources. And the meat-free diet also has many added health benefits. Everyone knows where meat comes from, but most people never stop to think about exactly how the meat is acquired. These animals are treated horribly and raised in frightening conditions. Animals are packed into factories so tightly they are unable to move, and they are often closed off from the outside world with little to no sunlight or fresh air. The lack of space, general filth of holding areas, often lead to broken limbs, heart problems, mental distress, and diseases in the area. They're subject to mutilation, such as the clipping of wings, beaks, horns, and different types of castration with no anesthesia at all. Hens and pigs are repeatedly impregnated until they aren't fertile at all, and then they're disposed of. We need to retrain the way we think of animals. They are all the same, whether or not we want to admit it or not. The pets that we keep at home are honestly no different. They have no special powers or abilities that makes them any more intelligent or special than the ones that we choose to eat. We don't eat them because we love them and it's morally wrong, and that could be said for the same for the animals that we do decide to eat. The ASPCA estimates that 27 billion animals are killed every year. That's 27 billion lives snuffed out by the food industry. The meat industry also heavily affects the environment. 260 million acres of land are used for the meat industry, mostly for grazing. Animals have a typically low yield and they take lots of grain. For example, it takes about 13 pounds of grain to only get 1 pound of meat. The grains that we're feeding these animals could be taken to feed a population of the world that's hungry. About 40% of our grain harvest goes towards these animals, and we could use them to feed ourselves. Considerable water and energy resources are also used to raise these farm animals. This water is often polluted from farm waste runoff, along with our air and land. We work so hard to otherwise preserve these resources. This will be such a small step to take to help. Factory farms also spread diseases such as Salmonella and E. coli. Just earlier this year, Tyson meat products were recalled because of a Salmonella outbreak. This affected almost everyone who had bought Tyson products in that period. The antibiotics these animals are fed often are passed along to the consumer, creating the possibility of antibiotic-resistant bacteria being created and then passed along to us. Aside from reducing the possible transfer of diseases, cutting meat from your diet has endless health benefits. Heart disease, cancer, obesity, and strokes all have been linked to a meat-based diet. Animals on factory farms are also pumped full of hormones and other steroids so they could produce more meat. There have been few studies on how this affects us, but that doesn't mean that it's not something we should be concerned about. Your body is a perfectly oiled machine in the way that it produces these hormones and other things, and if you're adding them from somewhere else, you're probably messing up your body without even knowing it. Estrogen has even been found in samples taken from supermarkets and is expected as the cause of breast enlargement in young boys and girls. And you can just think about how more developed young boys and girls are these days, and that could just be a coincidence, but you gotta think about it. There's little scientific evidence to preserve it, so we can't just base it on it alone. Compared to most vegetables, meat is lower in nutritional benefit. It has less protein, fiber, and other nutrients, and is more fatty and calorie dense. For example, 100 calories worth of broccoli has more fiber and protein than 100 calories worth of steak. So what would you be gaining if you lost meat? More than anything, you could personally alleviate the pain, suffering, and death of living beings. You'd improve the environment, and you would feel healthier and be better. It can be a hard and daunting task to adopt a meat-free lifestyle, but starting small helps. If you just start to cut back the amount of meat you eat every day and then every week, you'll slowly start to crave it less and less, and eventually you might not even be eating it at all. One person that stops eating meat saves about 100 animals a year. You'll quickly reap the benefits and feel better, knowing you are helping those that cannot help themselves.
Feel a little little shameful right now. Won't deny that I saw one of those